That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Okay, what's up? Here we go, dude. I apologize in advance for the audio if it sucks because we're using one mic, and I'm not a nerd with that kind of stuff.
So, okay, I want to know about this lady with the hangry shirt.
Okay, so Grant wants to jump into this because the last time I saw you, you were like bursting at the seams, like you have to get this stuff off your chest.
Yeah, there's some shit I have to tell you.
So I feel like I wish we had done it like then because it's a little delayed now.
Oh, I still got it.
But it's all pent up still?
It's all still there.
Okay, so you want to do you want to talk about the hangry lady first?
Yeah, I want to hear what was her.
All right. So I had to go to the hospital. I don't want to get into details about like why I was there or whatever, but I was in the ER room, and I was there for like hours, dude. Like I was just sitting in there because I was there so early. It was like 3 a.m, and I guess there wasn't enough doctors on call or whatever. And try to move up here.
Yeah,
try to see if you can keep a little
closer to the mic.
And so we were sitting around waiting. I was in there for 8 hours total. But like just while I was in there, I was pissed and I was like looking around, and like I realized like very quickly like half the people that are in the hospital in the ER room are there because they're fat.
Yeah.
Like in one way or another, it's because
their
fat.
Diabetes is acting up.
Yes, their diabetes is acting up. They have a heart thing, and they're 300 pounds, and their heart's, can't get blood to the rest of their body. There was a lady there, and she was just sitting in a wheelchair for hours, and she just had a blanket over her entire body. It was almost like they just like draped a blanket over like a fucking corpse.
Yeah.
And I mean, she didn't move or anything for a long time, and then they eventually started interacting with her. But it was funny because people would come up to this woman and they would just be like, they would like tell her something. They'd be like, yeah, so the doctor got your test back and like things are like looking okay or whatever. And she would just kind of nod. And then like another nurse would come up to her and like try to say something to her. And like it became clear to us that she didn't speak English. So I'm like, they've been telling her stuff for a while, and she's just kind of like nodding. Okay. And then like they had to get like a translator, and then like one nurse would use the translator, and then another nurse would come up and be like, hey, like we need to take your vitals, and like didn't know that she didn't speak English, so it was like a mess. And she was just like sitting like in a wheelchair, and then like after being there for like a couple hours, they just came up to her and they're like I'm listening to the translator translate everything there, and he's like, yeah, so we looked at the x-rays, your leg's not broken, there's actually nothing wrong with your legs, so you can just go home. And she was just like, okay. So like a lot of these people are there for nothing, so it sounded like she fell. But there was a lady there who was just like so disgusting, and she was loud. Okay. She was being loud in the ER. Like, not, like, causing a scene or anything, but, like, just speaking loudly. And she was in this, like, giant wheelchair, like, with, like, the kind of, like, wheels that, like, you need to, like, when you see people, like, wheeling someone on, like, a beach, and, they have those, like, big rubber wheels.
Yeah, like an ATV.
Yeah, and she was in one of those, and she was, like, at least 350 pounds. Like, she was huge. And she had a fucking big bottle of Diet Coke, and she kept dropping it. Like, that thing probably dropped, like, 4 or 5 times. And every time it dropped, like, someone would have to grab it for her because she couldn't get out of her fucking chair. She's in this giant wheelchair. And I just remember, like, the nurse... She, like, called the nurse. She was just like, nurse, please, can you come over here? And, like, the lady came out of the office, and she's like, can you help me find, like, a charging port so I can charge my phone? She's like, I play games on my phone, and it drains my batteries. And the nurse is just like, I mean, yeah, I hope you find one or whatever, because this lady can't even like push herself. So the nurse has to come out and like fucking like roll her around the ER room, and she's like, yeah, can you check behind those chairs? And the nurse like pulls up and she's like the lady like leans up, she's like, oh, there's not a plug back there, I thought there would be, like, let's try around the corner. So she's like rolling her around because this lady's literally too fat to move. And
Is she the one with the hangry shirt?
yes. And then like I like walked
shirt?
past her later. I'm like, who was this lady? And I walked past her, and she just has like a Disney backpack. She's got like Crocs with like Disney like pins in them. You know, people like accessorize their Crocs. And then she has this like shirt that just says hangry, or it says like always hangry or hangry, and it just has Stitch. So like we're just talking about like a giant adult child that is so fat. She said she hurt her leg and that's why she couldn't move. She's like, I fell and hurt my leg. I'm like, yeah, because you're 400 pounds. So you're probably like trying to get around your house or something.
Is that
you're
what the
just so
doctor
big.
should tell her? Just stop eating? Like that's
Well, they
the
can't, like,
solution?
because they have to treat symptoms, and they have to make sure that, because like, when you go to the ER, all they care about is like making sure you're not about to die.
Yeah.
They're like they'll just go like, yeah, you broke your leg, but you're not gonna die, so I'm just gonna refer you to someone who can like patch it up or whatever. And they treat symptoms, so they're not like the doctor's not like sitting down and having a conversation with you where he's like, look, let's be honest about why you fell. Like, you're overweight. I'm gonna, you know, he's probably not even thinking like, I'm gonna prescribe you Ozempic or anything, but like, they can't do that thing. They just go like, yeah, your leg's scratched up, I'm gonna patch it up and then send you on your way. But like, they just don't have those conversations. But most of the ER I found is just like obese people who roll their way in there, and they're like, you know, I need help, my heart hurts.
Disneyland has got a lot of these people. It's like a big intersection.
It's weird. You're right.
Well, you go to Disneyland and there's the variety. There's that. There's the like extremely gay types that with like like a tattoo of a possum on their chest, and then there's like the people with but then you also get like a young, really well dressed, cute Japanese couple. So like there's the whole. There's the whole.
It's weird how many fat people intersect with Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would think all the walking around. Disney's all just walking around.
That's the
But
whole
they're
thing.
so big,
Well,
they're
they
just like.
take their chair.
They're like, I want to go, but just I'll do it in the chair. Or like,
or
I'll
it's
walk.
like their one day of exercise in the month. It's
Yeah,
that
but then they
big.
just stop at all the churro spots and.
To
It's just,
refuel.
I think it's like a dopamine thing. I think it's like a similar where like the same fulfillment you get from just like gorging, you're also getting from like the Disney shit that kind of goes after your inner child. Yeah. I don't know.
It's So I had an experience that was kind of like going to Disneyland recently. So I went to a con, and there's this one fucking thing. I got it.
Yes,
Okay,
this
so
is the thing.
there
Get
was
this off
this-
your chest.
There was this one. I go and I look at the schedule, and it's
Well, start me from the beginning. You're wearing your Serbian
yeah, I'm
basketball
wearing my
jersey.
Serbian basketball jersey
Because we like Serbian
Because we
basketball
like-
in this house.
I don't like basketball. I respect the Serbian
Yes.
people. They punch above their weight class. If in June 28th, 1914, a 19-year-old Serbian shoots 2 people, and all of Europe just goes insane for
Wait,
like
what year was
decades. 1914. Sarajevo. It was Gavrilo Princip. He shot up Ferdinand.
When he
and
shot
his wife.
Ferdinand. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then Europe just goes insane. 9/11 wouldn't have happened if he didn't shoot 2 people.
It started a chain reaction.
Literally, yeah, because the whole Middle East situation is the
Yes.
way it was because of how the British treated them in World War I. So, like, it's all out of the barrel of one Serbian gun comes, like, 9/11 and all the Holocaust, all this stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, I've always respected how they punch above their weight class. So I'm wearing this to the con because I want to stick out. Okay, point is, so I look at all the different events. And one of the events is it's a conference, and it's in the 18 and up section, and it's called The Future Is Now: Sex and Technology in Today's World.
Okay.
And I'm like, I gotta check this out. And it was I'm very open-minded and progressive when it comes to like alternative sexuality.
Yeah.
It was the only time in my life that I've actually been like morally offended, which is a really, I didn't know it could
you
happen.
were offended by the title of the thing?
No,
or
no, by something
what was
that
the-
happened
oh, okay.
there. So I show up, And of course, I'm front and center because I want to be. I'm the only person in the front row, and I see immediately in the middle of the room there's this object, and it's like the bottom half of a refrigerator. You know, it's like yay high, and it's this black like box. And seeing it, I can tell immediately two things. First off, this is a kink object, but second off, this is an anti-human object. Because it's like a refrigerator. On the front of it, it has like a screen, and you can see into the front of it, and the screen is a one-way mirror, and it has a display on it with vitals and various things like the program it's running. And inside the refrigerator is like a science fiction padded cell, and there's a fucking magnetic lock on it, clearly, like it magnetically locks from the outside. So this is like a BDSM thing that like someone wants to get stuffed in and fucking locked in, and there's timers and all that. And that's like, okay, whatever, like I'm not, if someone wants to make a weird BDSM thing, that's their thing. But okay, so the conference starts, and we got 3 people.
What's the con called? Can I say that? Can I ask that?
It's called.
What's it called?
It's called Another Fur Con.
Another Fur Con.
Yeah,
and you have a prop.
Let me put on my badge shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, I picked the one with the...
Hold on a minute.
She's got a Bible.
Hold on, dude.
It's Christian.
Why did you go to this, though?
Well, why do you fucking think?
But, like, were you invited, or...
Well, you know, I go to Cal State Long Beach, and, you know, there's...
It was on campus?
No, but there's a furry club on campus,
Okay.
and, you know, everyone was going.
You're loosely affiliated.
No, yeah, loosely affiliated. No, I'm in the fucking
You're
club.
in.
I'm not gonna...
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna... I'm sitting front and center in this thing because I'm like thinking, are they going to ask for volunteers to go in the box? I'm not going to code switch here. I'm not like, oh, these fucking freaks.
Well, hold on.
I am
you're
here
front center
because
you think they're going to ask for volunteers.
I'm here because I'm interested in this subject.
Right.
That's not.
It's obscure.
Yeah. This is not me like, oh, I'm going to go look at the fucking cringe freaks. I'm like, no. I'm here to visit my
But
people.
the box is obscure.
The box
so you're
is
like,
fucking
what is this? I
obscure.
need to
And
figure
like,
this
what is
mystery
this
out.
thing? Okay, so the presentation starts. Again, it's called The Future is Now, Sex and Technology in Today's World. So there's 3 people, and they're all fucking engineers. You just look at them and you can immediately tell they're engineers. And it's funny because I thought BDSM people would be like bikers with fucking, you know, like the Celtic look and like leather and all that.
Yeah.
And no, they look like engineers, PhDs. Like, okay, so first guy, he's he's the only other guy in the con wearing a sports jersey, and he's like, yeah, I'm a fucking hardware engineer. I work in aerospace design. I design aerospace hardware. And what I'm working on right now is, so there's this, and then he shows us this picture of some kind of penis milking machine, and he's like, the problem with this is it doesn't stay in place, and we need to make like a mic, like a boom for a mic, you know, like to hold it. And so I've been workshopping it in AutoCAD, and this extremely like non-sexually, very clinically, like an engineer, he's just like, okay, so these are the design specifications. I have the following goals that I'm trying to meet for this object. These are the criteria, you know, these are all my objectives according to various parameters. This was Mark 1, I made in like AutoCAD with all this. Then Mark 2, I decided to make it modular and 3D print the parts separately. Just all this stuff to make this boom for this milking machine.
Right.
Oh, and also at the very beginning of this, they pass out colored pencils and paper to anyone who wants them, and they say, if you have an idea for a kinky object, we want you to draw it and present it at the end because we're engineers and we want to make it, and it doesn't need to be physically possible. So anyways, so he's presenting this very clinically, very just, you know, and then there was Mark 3, and then I got the following feedback. People said this was the positive, this was the negative, so then here's Mark 4, and then it's just all completely fucking aerospace official. And it's like, wow, okay, no, this guy's an admirable engineer, like, good for his fucking employers. Also, every furry is an engineer. I mean, not everyone, but like it's like a fucking Illuminati thing. Like half of software devs and software engineers
Is it the
and network
autism?
engineers. Yes, it's
Okay.
definitely the autism. Okay, so next guy. This guy, the previous guy was like in his 20s. This guy's like in his 50s, maybe late 40s.
What's going on with the box?
The box is just sitting there in the middle of the room.
Is it plugged into something?
I think so, because it has a constantly shifting electronics display on it, because on the front of the box, they've got the vitals and like the stuff for the program that will be running.
So is
it's
this like,
constantly shifting.
the box is there and then at the end we find out?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so go
this
on
is
to the second guy.
So the second guy, he's like clearly in his 40s or 50s. He is actually, he's well established in his career as a, he's like, right now he's like 3D printing organs for like biomedical engineering prosthetics.
That's cool.
But then he says, but in my spare time, I 3D print other organs. So, he's one of those. And he talks about how in his like engineering job, he was working at some German firm, and he came up with an idea for a modular, and this is before this was invented as a mainstream thing. He invented a modular kind of chip thing that could be put into a dumb dildo to turn it into a Bluetooth-enabled vibrator, to turn it into a Bluetooth-enabled smart vibrator.
Okay.
So that, your friend with like Wi-Fi can control it.
Yeah.
So, and he's talking about like, oh, I was so afraid to present this to all these German scientists because they're all so serious. And like I wrote the whole email up of like, I can't do the presentation because blah, blah, blah. And finally he decides to do it. And here's how he does it. He shows us the clip from the presentation. He does a PowerPoint, and it's like, this is not my invention. This is my persona's invention. This is Spacebuck's invention.
Okay.
And that's how he couches it. He's all like, this isn't mine, I just helped, but it's from him. And then he's like, and the feedback I got was so great, all the Germans loved it. Of course. All these like old radio engineers from the 60s were telling me how I could like help source for chip design and like get the right parts, and like, if you considered making it modular with this, and like just this great thing. And so he said to us, it was like a religious pitch. He basically said, let your persona take over your life, let them lead the way, because they know what's best for you, and then he shows it. He has all these patents, because this is like a career fucking guy.
I just love the fact that there's a furry conference, and you think it's one thing, but really it's just like an engineering showcase.
Yes.
Where they're like, let me show you the blueprints, it's all engineering, it's like... It's literally like a SpaceX forum where people are just like going over like...
And these are 3 career people. These are 2 like young people who are very promising, and like one older guy who has had a very fulfilling career. This is like driven fucking people.
Is there like, for as many of there are those people, there's also like just people who are not into that and they just are into the fur stuff?
Proportionally, no. There are more engineers.
There's more engineers.
There are more engineers than in a random like population thing. It is
wow.
Like there was this other thing that was like furry found footage, and it was like this old documentary, and it said like, oh, Skunky is a computer programmer from Germany, and everyone just laughs immediately because like, of course he's a computer programmer.
Right.
I fucking
A lot of Germans
yeah.
there?
Oh my god, yeah, the Germans love that shit. It goes
really?
with I don't know what. There's a lot of weird German sexuality. Okay, the point is, so this guy's so he's given this, and he has all these patents because he's an engineer, and all his patents are under Spacebuck, because that's his persona.
Right.
And he's just like, so guys, do this. Okay, now though, we get to the guy with the fucking box. So this guy, he's wearing his pajamas at the presentation. He's some fucking effeminate Asian dude.
Okay.
With in his pajamas, and he introduces himself, like clearly he's like spaced out, and he's like half there, half not. I don't know if he's on fucking SSRIs or if he's just crazy or what. He's like, hi, I'm a chipped cat. And then he takes his arm and he turns on like a light on his phone, and this fucking green light starts blinking in his arm because the other guy, the fucking guy in his 50s, installed this in his arm, and I don't know what's on the chip, some kind of information, but he like fucking likes that he's chipped. And he's like, so I'm like a software engineer, whatever. And he shows us, he gets this PowerPoint. He shows us this really, really awful, like very poorly drawn piece of art he saw with a furry character in a padded cell with a fucking visor and like, all kinds of other stuff. He's like, I saw this on the internet and I knew I had to make it a reality. And he takes us through the whole design process of this fucking box. He's the guy behind it. And the more we find out about it, the more horrifying it is. So
oh, God.
It magnetically locks from the outside, and this guy is fucking passionate about it. I know from the beginning that this is a guy who made this because he needs to be fucking stuffed in it. Like, that is
It was for him.
Yes, he made it to put himself in it.
Interesting.
Like, it's like, okay, do you know, I forget her name, some famous autistic woman, it's like Penny Martin or Penny Daniels or something like that, but there's a good documentary about her. And she invented something called the hug box that there's a certain machine that like immobilizes cattle, and she wanted to
I know
make that for
exactly what you're
humans.
talking
Yes.
about. Yeah.
And so it's just, this is for people that need that, but it's a fucking padded cell with a, and on the inside, the display is a one-way mirror, so you cannot see out. Like, you are fully in the fucking thing, and it magnetically locks from the outside, and it has a fucking, there's a timer on it, but the timer, it's fucked with. The timer on the inside does not have the same time as the timer on the outside. He's introduced an artificial time dilation factor to fuck with the senses of the person on the inside. Christ, what else? There's all this, there's the vitals, there's the ventilation.
So people have to be stuffed in, and they have to be sitting down or like squatting.
Yeah. It's
can't
like
even stand
cross-legged
up
or
in it.
no. It is a full
You're
fucking
like
bondage thing. I think it's cross-legged.
Cross-legged.
That is my guess, and he's running us through all the, like, the first design people said foot hurdy, so I added padding to this part, and then he's taking us through all the design processes. But what other horrible things were there about it? Also, there was some apparatus that went with it that was some kind of Bluetooth-enabled thing that's supposed to. I didn't really understand the specifics of it, but it goes in your ass and it edges you. It's a whole different.
Interesting.
Yeah. You're not. It doesn't let you come, but it's just this whole. I don't know that community. This is all.
Did a part of you want to get in the box?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Really?
No,
just
totally.
to see, just to check it out?
Oh, fucking more than that. No, yeah. Why do you think I'm going here?
Is it like
I'm exploring this shit? It's
like a sensory deprivation
It's a
tank.
full. Yes,
for furries.
it's a kinky BDSM object. Like what the
Is
fuck
there
else am I
cameras
supposed
in
to
there
say
so you
about
can
it?
check on the person?
You
and
can
see?
Okay, so the front display is a one-way mirror, so you can see in and see the person.
Yeah, you
and
mentioned
again, there's the vitals, but they cannot see out. And there is also, again, the timer for the magnetic lock.
Dude, this is
what
so
other?
crazy.
Okay, so all of this stuff. There's one thing though about it that here's what morally offended me. So looking at it, it's like, okay, this is a very extreme kink object. He made it open source.
What does that mean? So anyone can like
Yeah,
he 3D
he
print it?
programmed it all himself. Well, no, he just designed it from various pieces. But he made all the code, all the programming of like the apps that he made for it and how to run it and all that, completely open source, and the design of the box itself, completely open source. And it's like, I was fucking morally offended, because I'm like, someone is gonna die in the back of a car in one of these fucking things. Like, that's just going to happen. It's because it magnetically fucking locks. Like, someone is gonna use this on someone that they're gonna keep prisoner. Maybe, we're doing something kinky, and then it isn't.
Yeah.
And someone's gonna die in one of these fucking things. Like, this
Yeah,
is
but
actually...
you make that argument for any BDSM thing?
Yes, but that's why you shouldn't make it open source.
For every sex dungeon, like, there's a possibility someone actually dies.
Yes, but it's...
You don't get mad at the person who designed the dungeon.
No, but you get mad at them if they just put it on the public domain, and I know code has rights, whatever, but this is... Okay, so the other thing is, this is fucking serious. So at the beginning...
Is part of you upset that it's open sourced because there's some socialist communist element to it, and you feel like people should patent it and
No, I
legitimize it?
think information should be as free as it can be. I was just not this fucking information. It's like, I don't know, really, I guess, like, I like 3D printing guns. I think that should all be open source.
No way, dude.
Fair.
No, you're not getting me saying that on YouTube.
Well, this is worse, because it's like fucking... Okay, actually, legitimately, like, slavery and captivity and all that stuff is a fucking nightmare. And most people don't understand that, but, like, having your liberty is so much better than not having it. And it's just fucking nightmarish. And I'm not in the BDSM community, so I don't really know these things, but in the beginning, they pass out these stickers that they say, like, Rack Wiki, and they have a picture of a construction worker with a ball gag. And I'm thinking, it's just like gay people like construction workers.
Yeah.
But like, no. Turns out, they say, we lost 2 friends to kink last year. Yeah, fucking just to people doing shit that was too dangerous, and they died because of what they were doing.
In memoriam.
And they've made a wiki for this because apparently in the BDSM community there are 2 dueling philosophies. There's safe, sane, and consensual, which makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
But then there's the other camp, which is risk-aware consensual kink. And they say, life is a dangerous thing, You drove here. You all drove here, didn't you? Took a risk. You know, an anvil might fall on your head.
Bro, these
Life's
people are
a risk.
crazy. This is where the FBI goes to scout for school shooters, by the way.
Yeah.
They're just like, there's an FBI agent at all of these conferences just taking notes and writing names down.
Absolutely. Yes, it was extremely, like, I actually felt like this is a bad thing here, like making this open source. And they say, and that's why we're making this wiki for deaths associated with kink, because we want people who we know are going to do these risky things anyways to have risk mitigation plans. So even
That's
after
valid.
they've lost 2 friends to it, they're just, you know, the people who are like, oh, it's bad to teach abstinence, teach people, like, safe sex instead. They're like, well, teach people how people die to this. Like, it was fucking crazy. I'm trying to think if there are any other insane features of this thing that just made it more terrifying. I mean, the guy was clearly nuts, but he was clearly really into it. He's running us through all the design stuff. But okay, very end comes, and there's a question period, Q&A.
Yep.
And so I'm front and center, of course, and I ask the
You have to get in, yeah.
Yeah, I have to ask the
Yeah.
first question. And so I say to him, when did you know you were a mad scientist? Because, like, this is a fucking Doofenshmirtz thing.
That's fair.
Like, and he, oh my god.
Did you take offense?
No. The autism was so poignant, it was beautiful. He says, well, really, I'm more of like a software web dev, because, like, and he's clearly like a work from home in his pajamas,
Yeah.
make $200K a year, but don't know that you make that, you know, like one of those people. So he's like, I make like websites more of, that's my job. This is kind of just something I do when I'm working from home. So I'm more of like a theoretical, mathematical software dev engineer type.
Yeah.
And to be a mad scientist, you need to be more of like an electrical applied engineer, or like the aerospace.
No,
like,
I
design
totally
program.
disagree.
But he just does that, and he's like, so he basically, when I say, how do you know you were a mad scientist, he's like, no, this is just a hobby. Like, you know, I'm more of a...
Isn't that, though? Like, I think every mad scientist, the stuff is just a hobby. The main job is you're a fucking scientist.
No, exactly.
The main job is, like, I'm doing science stuff, and then the hobby is, like, I've created this thing in my basement. I don't know.
No, exactly, but he could not grasp that he was a mad scientist because of this fucking engineered electronics versus software engineer applied versus theoretical distinction. And it was the funniest fucking thing, because it was like, wow, you can just taste the autism. So it was a fascinating experience. Like, you know, you expect it to just be fucking BDSM leather people. Like, yeah, we like getting tied up in the no. Engineers.
Is that community just BDSM community repackaged into something else so it can be more public?
No. Furries is a... Okay, so the bunch of suitors, you know, this is my first con I've ever been to. I'm definitely going to go to a lot more of these, but there were a bunch of people in their suits, and what I realized is it's just... The basic thing is it's a pretend space. It's like Halloween. It's like you dress up and it's like, I'm Captain Hook. It's like, I'm fucking SpongeBob.
I've likened NFL sports fans to cosplayers. So I get it.
Only if they get really into the fantasy.
Yeah, when they're wearing
like,
face
"I'm this
paint
guy."
and all that stuff.
But that's what it is. It's a fucking pretend space where you are your whatever fluff dog.
Yeah.
And it's just that. So really it's more of a fucking dress up thing, which has been that's a big fetish. That's like, you know, people dressing different ways, cross dressing, etc., etc. It was a good time though. But what was the...
Did you make new friends?
Oh,
or did
yeah,
you go with
yeah.
people you already knew?
No, I went alone, but
You
then I
went
met
solo?
up with the 2 people who founded the school furry club, and then we waited for 3 hours in line, and we met this gay couple, and there was this really funny moment where something was too gay for the gays, because one of this girl, but I shouldn't say girl, this person, this they them, who was the founder of the club, and had a very obviously female, you know, sexualized character with breasts, and she's all dressed up. One of the gay guys is like, oh, you know, her fur is so, like, what do you use for that? And then she's like, it's a they. And then the gay guy is, you know, because he's like a fucking autistic nurse, is like, he goes into this autistic blue screen of death where he can't figure out how to say they because it's plural and this is a singular person. He's like, do I say they is? Do I say that? And like, just in this fucking loop, and I'm just like, just treat this plural. He's like, oh, okay. But it was just this funny moment where it was like this fucking it's too gay for the gays. Then there's this other guy who's like, you know, showing me all this like Warhammer 40K shit that he painted. So yeah, you know, just extreme autism community. But good time.
That's huge, dude. Some of those people might end up like, you know, on the fucking news one day.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
Like some of them are developing like legit Microsoft AI software.
Absolutely.
Probably, and then like this is also what's going on.
It's a fucking Illuminati. That's what people don't know. Like the
Yeah.
I think the highest paid surgeon, or it might be the highest paid plastic surgeon in the U.S., is also the #1 commissioner of a certain type of furry pornography. So it's like an Illuminati. Yeah, it's a fucking thing. It's a whole underground, and they're everywhere. And it's fucking ambiguous. It's funny because there's a school club for it, but it's like at least 50% a kink thing, and that's downplayed at the school club because it's like you couldn't have a BDSM club, but like that's fucking part of it. It's far out.
I'm out of the loop on all of it, but I'm not. You know, I'm not going to turn away from it. I think it's interesting how people have these like second lives.
It's totally that.
These
it's
other
like
personas.
It is like a different universe. It's like a different cultural space.
And
You know,
like,
kind of like traveling
so a lot of
somewhere.
people consume furry stuff and don't even realize it. That's the thing I think is super
Or they don't
interesting.
mention it. Or they
I think a lot don't realize it.
You think? How do
I
you
mean, if they I mean, I understand like people if they don't mention it, but they know what's going on. But like, you know, I know people who are like reading books and stuff, and I'm like, this is like a fucking furry.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
The guy's
like
like
that kind
the
of-
guy in the book is like some hairy beast,
And they're like, no,
half
it's
creature
monster,
thing.
not
It's a
furry.
monster, and I'm like, it's maybe there's a spectrum, but I'm like, you're
If this
you're
is
teetering in there,
if
man.
this is an animal with anthropomorphic traits,
Yes.
it's furry. That's what that is. It's
I don't know. Oh, dude, Kaylin's, I don't know how her birth mom's husband went to a. It's just a super funny picture. I gotta find it. They went to a. I don't even think they went to it. I think they were just out and they just happened to see someone, and I don't think he knew it was a furry.
okay, see that?
I don't think he knew it was a furry. He just like thought it was someone who was like dressed up as a Beanie Baby, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll take a picture."
See, I think it's intrinsically sexual and don't like taking it in public, honestly. I
It-
feel like you don't want to take it somewhere you're going to see kids.
It's just funny that like someone who doesn't know that it might be like what even a furry is, but they're just like, "Oh, cool. This person's dressed up. I'll take a picture with them, like it's a cosplay thing or whatever." But I don't know.
It's fucking... The other thing I realized is it is this insane labor of love because these suits are like death.
Oh yeah.
You can't fucking see anything, like unless you got a really good one.
Dude, they're always out in somewhere where it's hot too. They're
They're
always at like a
so
fucking
hot.
beach or like it always looks warm. They're never in like it's never snowing. You never see a furry in the snow.
No, that was the big thing with the one of the big things with the box is that it had the air conditioning, so you could go in your suit and still be okay.
Nice.
Like the guy was really big on
Survive.
that. Hey, Luna. But the anyways, it's such a fucking labor, but they do it because they want to be their character.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the and I talked to people and they were like, I've been waiting like a year and I just want to be this fucking character, and it's smell my cat.
Luna's down here.
Yes.
The cat. I don't know what she wants. Come on.
But it was a lot like Disneyland. It really was. I mean, that's my Disneyland. You know, people are like, "Oh,
That's
I
your
go because it's
Disneyland?
all." You know, there are all the characters there, and there's all the and I just go and I'm like, "Oh no, it's
I
all
want a
fake."
Disneyland. I don't have a Disneyland.
Ever been to like Comic-Con? Well, okay, what about a concert? What about a concert you like? That is the best way to explain it. It's a concert. It's where everyone is in the energy of the thing. They all want to be there for the same reason, and they all dig it.
I'm trying to think, dude. Like, there's just nothing I've like gotten excited for like that.
Well, it's specifically a community sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
that's Well, hell, you gotta find it. It's
I
fun.
know. I need to find something. I don't have anything like that yet.
Pickleball.
You know what? I will. You're probably right. It's probably the PPA tour, Pro Pickleball Association. I would love to do something like that, dude. They had it in San Clemente last year in December, and I would have gone, but I didn't get into pickleball until January, and even then I wasn't even interested in like the pro scene until like very recently. But I've like ditched football and baseball. I could care less now. And like I'm more interested in like watching pickleball and playing that. But I wanted to ask, do people say anything about the jersey?
No.
You haven't gotten a comment on it?
Oh, in general?
In general.
Yeah, people are like,
what the fuck is that?
No, people, I had like this kind of Eastern European guy be like, Serbia? Like,
really?
Like, yeah. I'm like,
but most people don't know it's Serbian. Like,
no, they do, because they look at this and it basically looks like it says Serbia. People fucking loved it.
It's cool because it's so fringe, dude.
It's so fucking fringe,
yeah.
And I'm a tall dude, but I'm not a basketball player,
right.
so it's just...
Yeah, that's why you wear it well. You own it, man. It's sick.
Yesterday I was so there was like a Halloween meeting on a campus thing, and so I wore my Doomsayer getup with like the Take Back Your Mind and all that. But under the suit was this, and it was such a vibe. Like when I didn't have the sandwich board on, I just felt like an Eastern European basketball coach.
Yeah, I want to get one.
It's fucking nice. It's highly.
I was looking at like other basketball jerseys and shit because I love Jokic. Nikola Jokic is like the best player in the NBA right now, and he's from Serbia.
Does this say?
It might say his name on it.
It's like.
Yeah, it says Jokic on it. He doesn't even like basketball. It's the funniest thing. Like he's not like passionate about basketball like the other players. Like he won the NBA championship. And they're like trying to interview him, and he's just like, "It's just a job." But he likes horse racing. That's all he cares about.
Just betting on the horses.
Yeah, he like owns like a whole horse race track, and like he owns like horses, and he races them. He has to sit in this like custom made carriage.
Because he's big.
He's 7 feet tall.
Literally?
Yes, dude. And there he's just like.
He's some fucking monster from the Ural Mountains.
Like the NBA finals, like. Almost overlapped with his like horse race event in Serbia, and so like he ended the final, like they won the NBA finals, and he's just like, I need to go back to Serbia. I need to go have horse race. I have horse race on this weekend, and they're just like people are like baffled because it's like all these Americans are like passionate about the game, and he's just like I don't care, but he's the best player, dude. Like he's by far the best player right now.
That's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Serbia, they killed so many fucking Turks in the 90s, and people just don't give a shit. They meme about it. They say Serbia's strong.
Oh my god. Wait, was there a war?
Yeah, I think it was more of just a genocide.
The 1990s?
I think it was, yeah.
There's no fucking way, bro.
Yeah, no, there's the whole... Haven't you seen the meme with the guy that's like...
No.
With the accordion?
The 1890s or the 1990s?
No, 1990s.
They killed a bunch of Turks?
A fuck ton of Turks.
Dude, you better fact check that, man.
No, fact check.
YouTube's gonna find out.
I gotta use the restroom real quick. But
go ahead.
No, if you look up Serbia strong...
Well, I guess maybe I looked that up. I don't know shit about Turkish and Serbian history. I should probably share a screen a little bit. Let's put this up.
Yeah, you finding it?
The Srebrenica massacre, also known as the Srebrenica genocide, in July 1995, the genocidal killing of, I hope I'm not blasting into the mic, dude, The audio is just going to be shit on here. Genocidal killing of more than 8,000 Bosniak Muslim men and boys around the town
How the fuck am I laughing?
during the Bosnia War. Huh.
Yeah, people don't really talk about that very much, though, because Serbia's just cool.
Interesting.
It's like Michael Jackson, you don't want to rip on him.
Was it a war or a genocide?
I think it was a genocide during a war. I think it was like, hey, we're fighting each other, so you might as well take the time to cut the grass.
8,000.
Yeah, that's not too bad as far as genocides go. Just flippant about this, because there are many war crimes ongoing at present. Not good.
Interesting. I gotta look into that later.
The point is, people meme it a lot. So, okay, the Doomsayer getup, though. So, I have a Doomsayer getup. It's got the 3-piece suit, sandwich board, handbell, take back your mind on the front, your culture is declining on the back. People think it's right-wing. Why do you think that is?
I think when people think of Doomsayers in general, and I didn't realize this until I did it, people just assume you're a Christian.
Fair. Yeah, that's
They
what
just
it
go,
is.
you're a Christian talking about Armageddon.
And the suit
But I'm
and
like,
the bell,
no.
too.
Yeah, I'm like, no, like, it's actually just very valid to acknowledge that, like, this empire known as America is just on a downward spiral. It's nothing to do with an Armageddon or religion.
Prophecy, yeah.
I guess, like, you don't see Muslims or Jews or other, like, Hindus, other religions talking about that or doing that. It is mostly, like, very, like, I guess, specific groups of Christians.
Yeah, I guess.
But people don't like having that conversation. I didn't realize like how uncomfortable that makes people, and it's just like they can't face the truth.
Well, it's much easier to be in denial, and it's not like we have these unsolvable problems. It's not like, oh, the end is near, therefore fucking panic. It's like, no, there are problems, there are big problems, and if we don't do something about them, they're going to grow, and then civilizations do eventually
But we're not going to
collapse.
do anything. Like, no one's going to do anything.
We're not.
about that.
It's my hope is that, so I think this general American civilization is probably on the way out in the next 50 to 100 years. And there's probably going to be a dark age for a while, but with technology, hopefully that doesn't go so bad. But the American culture is going to survive. So, like, the next thing in, like, 300 years when there's a new efflorescence of, like, freedom and a new America, they're still going to be like, oh, we have American architecture and American fucking suits and, like, ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be America. It's just, we're going to balkanize and then maybe be
Where will
invaded.
it be though? Like in this country, or are you saying outside of the?
South America is really... There's a lot of potential in South America. Maybe Africa, and then I want it to be somewhere on the Eurasian steppe, but I'm biased because I just like the steppe. But I would guess South America.
I don't know. I think I think it's all right. The currency is probably what's going to cause everything to boil over. Like I think our just monetary system of just America just printing out money and then having trillions of dollars of debt is not sustainable, and no one is going to do anything to put the lid on the pot before it boils over.
I think eventually,
It's not.
what's going to happen is there's going to be a certain point in like whatever 50 years where the debt is like 300 trillion, and we're just going to say, okay, wait, no more U.S. dollars. We're doing megabucks now, and it's a new thing.
Well, they're doing like bricks. I mean, people are going to start using like crypto. I still am bullish on those things.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, at some point, I mean, right now the dollar is strong. It is the world's currency, and it's strong right now. Like relative to like other currencies, it's still beating everybody. Like other countries were going through like bigger recessions than what we went through, but at some point people just go, this is all bullshit. We can't pay this back. America, we can't sustain what we've had over the last 100 years, and you know, there's another war or something. But that's just where I'm at.
I think they're just gonna say, all right, we're fucking done with USD. It's megabucks or skins or something that's a new thing, and we're just not.
Are you saying V-Bucks like Fortnite or megabucks? Like what's a megabuck?
A megabuck is just my idea for a new dollar. Like it's a new thing. But and they're just gonna say we're not paying any of our fucking debts.
I think something else could just end up being currency. Like what do they call it? Fiat currency? Like that's what we have right now. But I could
just like gold back.
Yeah, it could be like gold or
energy
like
credits,
gasoline or like some type of energy credit or something like.
So my thing is I really don't think the U.S. is going to honor their debts because I think the thing with the U.S. is we fucking break treaties and deals all the time.
Yeah.
Because we're like, no, that was the previous administration, or no.
Yeah, we have the biggest military, so we're like, what the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you look at fucking what's it called, like Sitting Bull, or not Sitting Bull, Red Cloud. So Red Cloud, Lakota Indian, and he could always beat the U.S. people, and so they eventually said, okay, you guys can keep the Black Hills, it's fine. And then they just were like, okay, but it's totally not fine. Like, it's like that. It's like, we made a deal, but no, next administration. And then, no, sorry, that was the last guy. You don't have the deal anymore. And, you notice the Black Hills do not belong to the Lakota anymore. So it's just that. And, like, look at how we treat our fucking allies recently. Look at how we treated the French and the British over that shit with the Suez Canal, where we're just like, yeah, we're not going to support the French and the British, fuck them. It's like they were our allies in goddamn World War II and the Cold War. Like, we don't give a fuck. We betray constantly. Like, if you trust the U.S. and they shaft you, it's a little bit your fault. It's like if you know a guy that always just, like, asks to borrow money and never pays it back. Like, the third time he says, hey, like, you give me $500 and you don't get it back.
But he's the only one that has a gun.
No, that's
the thing. You're like, hey, man, come on, dude. And he's like, well, I have a gun and you don't. So let me borrow more money.
Yeah, I would lend him the money. I don't want to die. I mean, I have an argument for why I shouldn't, but gun counters argument.
We've talked about this. I love Tim Dillon's analogy of Israel, where he's like, Israel's the kid that, what was he saying? Like, Israel's the kid that's always getting into trouble.
But he's got rich parents.
Rich parents. Yeah.
So he'll be fine. He's not getting.
And he comes to your house one day and he's like, look, we got to go over here. There's some guys and we got to fuck them up. And you're like, but why? I don't even...
It's like, no, dude, we fight. I love to fight.
Dude, we just fight. You're going to do this for me. Like, I don't know. I just love that. But, like, yeah, that's where we're at, man. Speaking of which, who do you think wins the election?
I think it's going to be Trump. I think it's close and...
Not who you want. This is just to clarify. Not who you want to win.
I honestly think it's going to be Trump.
Really?
Yeah. And it's...
That's what the betting markets are saying right now. But I don't know, dude. Like, if I had to pick right now, it just seems like things are swaying Trump. But I've been wrong every time.
Well, last election, it seemed at this time like it was swaying Trump, too.
Well, this is what I'm saying. In 2016, I was like, Hillary's going to win. Like, there's no way. Like, the thing with Trump was fun or whatever for him. Hillary's going to win. There's no way he pulls this off. Because there was a huge silent minority, or majority, I guess, of people who were, like, just silently supporting Trump. Then in 2020, I was like, Trump's going to win. Biden doesn't have a shot. So I've been wrong 2 times in a row. So now I'm kind of like, I don't fucking know, dude.
Fair, yeah.
But, like,
I don't know what the fuck Kamala Harris believes. Like, the interesting thing about that is it's a wild card. Like, because she says things, but they both will say anything, but in a different way, Yeah. Like, so I honestly don't know her policy. Like, maybe she's just this really fucking cunning, like, clever stateswoman, and she's just gonna, like, thread the needle, but maybe not. Because you don't get into the position she is in, where, like, she hasn't received a single vote, and she's the fucking candidate, without being fucking smart. Like, she is, in some sense, a gangster. So maybe, like, under the table, she's got a brilliant plan, and, like, she's gonna rock it. Like, I feel like we know what we're getting with Trump. Kamala, I honestly don't know. Like, everyone says, oh, she's a communist. It's like, well, maybe, but...
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't think it's... I don't know how relevant, like, that, like, the presidency is at this point, but, like, really what they can change or get done, they're really checked by Congress pretty strongly, no matter what. So it feels like it's gridlocked, but, like, I don't know, dude. I mean, I was just talking to fucking John on Discord, like, I think there's a lot of election fraud.
Yeah.
Who even fucking knows?
The election is going to be close enough to steal one way or the other. And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I
and there's
agree.
even if that doesn't happen at all, there's going to be ambiguity about it, and I don't want that. That was horrible last time. So here's my when I actually try to like leave this election and just think in the long term, here's my problem. So left wing, they could just turn authoritarian. I mean, we saw shit the Biden administration did during the pandemic. We saw, like, you know, using the DOJ to go after your political opponents, whatever. And we know what authoritarian leftism looks like. It could just turn into this communist fucking thing where we're all marching to the same tune in the name of equity or safety or something like that. I mean, we've seen it before.
Yeah.
But the right also has a different flavor of that. They have the sort of religious Catholic thing. I mean, if Trump puts another Catholic on the Supreme Court, America might be fucking over. No, I'm serious.
Crazy, I know.
I'm fucking
no,
serious.
I know.
Because the Republican Party is...
Wait, who's Catholic? Barrett or
I
Kavanaugh?
think like 5 or 6 of them. Just
Really?
put under the table. People talk about the deep state. No one talks about the fucking Vatican.
Catholic state.
That is a 2,000-year-old institution that is clearly diabolically evil. They're just accumulating enormous amounts of wealth and power, and they have a fucking agenda. And when the Republican Party crumbles, because I think it's basically fucking over after Trump, the Catholics will still be Catholics, and that'll be their unifying thing. And they are not fucking around. Like, they believe this shit. They honestly believe they're, like, fighting for God. And, okay, here's the problem. So I brought up the specter of left-wing authoritarianism. There's this future where the U.S. becomes this... It's going to be this, like, kind of fascism that uses Christianity as a coat of paint. It's going to be all about force and the strongman. It's going to be less rational and more about the personality and, like, the deed. It's going to really be about the deed. It's going to be women back in the kitchen doing their rightful role. It's going to be men who are strong, who are not necessarily thinkers, but who can get shit done.
Are you saying this is what?
This is a potential bad way that things go with the Christians. Because it's going to be, or not the Christian, with the right wing really, just this sort of rah-rah, hyper-masculine, they're going to have very loud music, and they're going to be put on very beautiful festivals, but it's fundamentally
I don't think the
going to be this
Republicans are
anti-human
as
thing.
religious as people think, though. They're like, you guys are Christian. I'm like, they're like barely.
Well, okay.
Because they might say that, but then they go and do things that are like not, becoming of a Christian at all.
Well, okay, it's not... Well, you can't expect a Christian to be consistent because that's simple. The Father is not the Son, is not the Holy Spirit, while all three are God. That is a built-in contradiction. Like, you found a religion on a contradiction, you can't expect consistency. But okay, let me tell you my pitch, because I think religion is generally on the decline, but there's a psychological space that would allow it to gain back a lot of territory, and this is a reason Islam is making big gains. But okay, so here's my breakdown of why there's big room for this kind of Christian hyper-fascism, or pseudo-Christian. So, I think there's 3 factors. First off, since the Industrial Revolution, society has been missing a big thing. We're very scientific and materialistic, but there is something where it doesn't administer to the actual needs of a human being fully, like as a spiritual thing, as a member of a community. You know what I mean? Like, it turns a person into a cog, into a cipher. It doesn't fully administer to what a human being needs. And I think, again, this is a problem with industrial civilization since the Industrial Revolution. Ted Kaczynski talks a lot about this. I don't.
Are you just citing the fucking Ted Kaczynski
no,
shit?
This is my this is mainly from Olaf Stapleton. But okay, the point is, so variable 1 is this sort of dissatisfaction with modern civilization, and that is true. There is something missing with modern technical scientific civilization, and if you disagree, I just don't think you're going outside enough. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
So okay, second thing, there is generally a kind of need to hate. And that's like just a part of human psychology, that you need to take everything you don't like about yourself and unload it onto something else and smash it. It's like you put all your sins on a chicken and then you kill the chicken.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. The people who say they don't hate, what are they doing then?
They could just be psychologically pretty healthy, and I think in a healthy person, the need to hate plays a pretty small part. Or it's bullshit, and they really do have that hate.
How does that manifest, though?
Well, it's either
like people who do hate when they're like, I don't hate anybody. Like, I'm very tolerant and I love all people. And then, like, they'll just start bashing.
It is either that they know they're full of shit and they have a secret hate life that they indulge in, or it's this fucking thing that they've just pushed under the rug and like, oh, we don't talk about that, it's in the closet, and sometimes it just fucking bursts out, as you were saying, in these outbursts.
Yeah.
But I do think in most healthy humans, this need to hate plays a pretty small part. But I think modern civilization is just damnably unhealthy, as I was saying.
Yeah.
And so I think there's this big fucking thing of hate. And then the other thing is, you gotta remember nationalism. Like, a nation is one way of looking at it when things go bad is like a fucking super hate club. And with all, I mean, you look at the nationalistic stuff going on. China's making moves. Iran's making moves. We're making moves. Israel's doing shit. There's shit going on in Russia. Like, the nation state is a thing. And when the fire of the nation state gets going, it is just this outlet for all the hate. And so these three things come together. So you have your dissatisfaction with modern stuff, hate, and nation, and they all come together in this sort of quasi-religious cult of the state. Because that's the other thing about this sort of like fascism I bring up, is it's going to be very state-like. So that's why I'm alarmed, because I don't like either of these. I don't like the authoritarian left thing that we've again seen before, and I don't like this sort of quasi-Christian fascism that could definitely fucking emerge. And so that's why I'm worried, because like I said, if Trump puts another Catholic on the court, America might be over.
Right.
I'm really not. And then if Kamala just continues doing.
Well, I wonder, like, if anybody's even coming up on the court of like about to retire.
Well, you never know. You really just never know. I mean, I didn't think he would put on what 2 or 3.
I would hope not, but the All In podcast, they kind of did like an overview of all the Supreme Court cases that happened over this summer. I thought they made some compelling arguments that like a lot of the judges that have been appointed, that were, even Ketanji Brown, were like, they appointed her as like a liberal. She actually has made a lot of decisions that don't side wholly with the Democratic Party, and vice versa.
She's her own person.
Yeah, exactly. They've all kind of voted independently, and there's 9 of them, and there seems to be like 9 groups where there's like 3 that are just always going to vote or rule, for
one way or the other, yeah.
right wing. 3 that are going to always rule left, and then there's like 3 in the middle that are kind of the tiebreakers.
I gotta fucking say, I love it when someone is like prejudiced and puts someone in a little box and it's like, oh, Ketanji Brown Jackson, of course she's just gonna be like a fucking liberal. It's like, no, she's her own person.
Yeah, I forgot what the ruling
things.
was, but she ruled on something that was kind of like anti what the Democratic Party is. I don't know. I'm not super kept up with it, but another Catholic. God, I mean, who knows?
I
don't know.
I hate the Vatican passionately. They are my philosophical and spiritual enemies. Like,
yeah.
There is a spiritual war.
Speaking of spiritual, do you want to talk about what you got from Moonlight? You don't have to. You got something from Moonlight and Sage?
Which particular stuff?
The stuff you were picking up today?
Oh, yeah, mugwort. That's just for, apparently it is, like, just a nice thing to smoke on for a very just mild high, and apparently it leads to more vivid dreams.
Okay,
and that's
interesting.
the thing I'm very interested in, because dreams are a fascinating thing.
Kaylin, because when you told me you wanted it, I asked Kaylin, I'm like, what's mugwort for? And she just said, a lot of things. You can use it in many ways. And I was like, oh, I don't know how this. I'm trying to figure out why you wanted it, like what you wanted it for. And she's like, you could really want it for anything. I'm
interested in the dreams.
She said you can't smoke it though. She said you can. So she said this.
Yes.
If you get the stuff from her, because the stuff she gets is organically sourced or whatever, it's smokable.
Cool.
So you got good stuff from her. Yeah, no preservatives or anything like that. Speaking of dreams, I'll tell you this dream.
Okay.
If you don't, because I know you like. This was probably the most vivid dream I've ever had.
Oh.
I remember having it. I remember waking up, and I rarely want to write down what happened. I'm normally okay with forgetting what my dream was, but I was like, this was so insane, and I want someone to analyze this. And I've kind of thought about it more about what the meaning might be and everything. I'll just have my notes here to try to like remember. Kaylin and I were at this like ultra futuristic facility, and it was like kind of like an outdoor, like it was like open aired, so kind of like an outdoor mall, but like way nicer. And we were there to commemorate what was going to be a space launch, and basically they were showing off all this like crazy fucking technology, and they were like, we have like state of the art everything, and we're like going to achieve all these like crazy things that humans haven't been able to do before.
Enormously positive so far.
We're taking off tomorrow. We're gonna be sending these guys to like Mars, and then like they're kind of like showing off. They're literally like like, look at what we thought of. Like, we have all this, like, cool stuff, like, that for them to do and be able to survive. And then, like, right before the launch, the space station got, like, fucking hacked. And so there was, like, screens everywhere. And I'm trying to remember, like...
It's like the Tower of Babel.
Yeah, like, people were, like, scared shitless. Like, people were, like, shouting out, like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that doing there? And, like, all the screens got hacked. And whoever hacked it was, like, trolling the, like, space station. All the people in the space station were like, they were, like, sending up, like, rich billionaires. There was, like, people who were, like, helped create and innovate all of this shit. And so then, let's see. We were like, what's going on? Like, it got hacked. I don't know what's about to happen. So people kind of started to, like, scatter and, like, try to get out. So I'm taking Kaylin. We're trying to get out of this fucking place. And, you know, I'm freaking out because what I thought was this, like, impenetrable, perfect space technology was now compromised. So I'm worried because I'm like, if this was so fucking state-of-the-art, how did they let this fail? Like, how did they let their cybersecurity fail? And then it made me think, like, maybe it didn't fail. Like, maybe it was, like, some type of inside job where they've gathered us all here and now we're trapped.
Well, but so then what happened?
So we're trying to get out, but then there was, like, certain people that were, like, preventing people from leaving, like security guards or some shit. They were fearful. They were saying that they didn't want us to leave because they didn't want us to, like, say what happened. Like, obviously they, like, don't want to get to the press. They want to keep everything under wraps. Or they were the ones who attacked this space station. So I wasn't sure. I was like, what the fuck happened?
But
like, maybe they're the ones who did it. But they're trying to keep us here.
Which is really not a good vibe.
So let me try to remember, like, what happened. So I remember, like, trying to, like, sneak around, like, through the shadowy, dark areas to try to get out. And then, let's see. Okay, so then this is what kind of was kind of weird. So the screens that got hacked, they were, like, troll-like memes.
See, what this is telling me is the Joker is the strongest card in the deck. That's the symbolism
I
of
guess.
the dream so
I don't know.
far.
So they were, it said, we was going to be in space. What are you gonna do about it? Like, and it was like the NPC meme, like, fucking, like, what are you gonna do? Like, fucking, you thought you were gonna go and now you're not. Let me try to remember. So we were trying to get out. Okay, so then this is kind of what I ultimately thought it was. I think it was my fear that ultimately less capable, chaotic people will ruin what the rest of us have built.
Okay.
Is that like a fair analysis? We're like, no matter what humanity is able to achieve, like, there's going to be fucking nut jobs and losers who are like, I don't like that. I'm just going to destroy it all. Because I couldn't do it. I'm not profiting off of it. So I'm just gonna lie and say it's unethical, and I'm gonna ruin it for everybody.
I think that's a fine analysis, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think good is generally more powerful than that.
These people, they want to anchor us down to their world. Like, even like...
It's the fucking mindset of, like, I hate everything, so no one should be happy because I'm not.
Yeah.
That's the...
Well, it's like the whole thing
mindset,
of, like,
real.
regardless of how you feel about Elon and his politics, like, they landed a fucking spacecraft.
Yeah, he's striving to achieve.
And, like, people were trying to shit on him.
It's
and people were like, oh, he's fucking dumb.
Well, no, he's a fucking... Okay,
and I'm like, well, who cares? They landed a fucking spaceship onto, like, these, like, 4 prongs. Like...
Everyone who is, like, an exceptional human in those terms, who is pushing the boundaries, is going to be a fucking weirdo. You're never going to like them as a person. Like, the person, if we are pulled out of the fire politically...
But are they going to do it? Are they ethical? Are they doing things ethically? Because that's what matters to these people.
The problem is that their ethics function on a completely different scale.
That's
because
true.
Elon Musk is thinking extreme long time scale, longevity of the species... And therefore he does things that on the short term seem outrageously unethical. but in his framework, in his mind, are completely justified as ethical because he's looking at a different scale. Now, the problem is that a lot of important things are on a small scale. Like, okay, an interpersonal relationship of, like, love is a really important thing, and that's a one-to-one person thing. So if he's zoomed out so far that he doesn't see that, he might be missing something. Like, I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying he's applying a different level of analysis to it. It sounds like I'm saying he's better. I'm not necessarily saying that. It's just a different scale. It's just a different size.
What do you think my dream was?
I think it was the Joker is the strongest card in the deck. I think it was, look at how powerful the King and the Queen and the Jack and the Ace are. Look at how wonderful they are.
They can be undermined
but
by...
there is the Joker. And that's not just a type of person. It's like a cosmic principle of indeterminacy. And then you can get into, Gödel's incompleteness theorem says that, no formal system can contain all logical statements. It's going to contradict itself. Mm-hmm. Like, it's sort of an appropriate understanding of the universe would just be the universe itself. There's always going to be something missing. I like knowledge, I like striving, but you're never going to have that God's eye view. So that's what I see it as. The Joker's the strongest card in the deck.
I still think it's like, it's my fear of people dragging everything down. No, it's not my fear of mediocrity. It's my fear of, like, we're going to do good things. Like, and this is, like, on a big scale, but also, like, individually. Like, you can accomplish something good, but even maybe in your own life, but in general, like, people are going to be like, no, you're dumb. I'm gonna ruin it. I'm gonna take it from you.
I think
you didn't do it right. It's
that.
Unethical.
I think it could go that way. It could go the other way. I honestly think that's the spiritual war. It could be that reason and good and all that win, or it could be that it doesn't, and it's just shit. All right, I know you got to get out of here in a minute, huh? I did not. But no, that might be it. You know how fucking expensive fursuits are? It's ridiculous. People were charging like $1,500 to $2,000 for like just the head and the paws, not even full body.
Yeah.
The top of the line expensive full body stuff, $24K.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed.
Fucking think of that though, because you can make one.
I don't think you can make one unless you're like.
No, you can. You can for like a few $100s if you get into it. But
you have to be good at it. Most people aren't.
I don't know. I feel like you could just learn. But
do they use real animal fur in any of them?
Not for most of them, because they are generally like pro-animal people. But
interesting.
It's there's a weird fucking intersection where it's like, okay, how many of these people are genuine zoophiles? Because that's a fucking terrifying thing, and it's definitely there. They're definitely there. But no, the suits are fucking impressive. Some of them.
I don't think you could make that.
Nah, I might. We're gonna find. I'm not gonna drop that.
You
line
have to be like a master of sewing.
Well, you practice. Okay, so Nietzsche said that the right why could justify any how. Like, if you really want something, you'll fucking walk through hell for it. And I'm sure you've had that in your life where you have a goal that's like an absolute goal, and you're like literally walking on shattered glass, and you're just like, I don't care, I'm doing it. Yeah. It's like that. It's that level of thing. This is a religious.
But then you have to weigh is spending 1,000 hours figuring this out worth 20 grand to me?
If it's your religion, fair, and that's when it comes in. That's when the wealth comes in, because so many of these people are making so much more money than they could possibly spend, and so they're just like, yeah, fuck it, I will just drop 20K and get the best one. But there's also the element of personality to it. You want to, as an artist, you want to put yourself into it, and that's I feel like you lose that if you commission it. But people spend outrageous amounts of money. It's one of those, like there's an indoor surfing place where you spend $5,000 a day to go there and surf, and it's not that it's that good. It's that you can then say to people, I spend $5,000 a day to go to this indoor surfing place. It's like that. There's a lot of that.
Have I ever told you about this story? This guy told me a story about watching movies with Afghans when he was in Afghanistan. He was deployed in Afghanistan. No. So he was telling me about how funny the Afghans were that he served. They were Afghan National Army guys, and he was like, dude, they were so funny. Like, the things that they found interesting were hilarious to him. So he's like, we were watching Spider-Man 2, and he was like, you would think that because most of them hadn't seen like legit CGI shit.
Yeah.
So they're unfamiliar with like what you can do in cinema. And he was like, you would think that he's like, I remember watching with them and thinking like they're gonna think that like the Spider-Man stuff is really cool because it looks like a guy swinging from buildings, and they're gonna be like mind blown as to like
fun.
how someone did that. He was like, the whole time they were caught up on this like one scene where there's I guess there's like a scene or like a shot where there's a yacht, and on the yacht is a pool. And these guys from in fucking Afghanistan with no money were like couldn't wrap their minds around like, why the fuck would somebody put a pool on a yacht?
Because you could just
You're
go
in
the
the
ocean.
middle of the fucking ocean. And they were like baffled. They were like, that's the stupidest thing ever. And they were baffled by it. And they kept talking about it the whole movie. And they couldn't figure out. They're like, what if they like thought it was funny, like comical. They're like, that's so stupid. Like, why would someone do that? You guys are so dumb. And then he was also saying that they watched Rambo, and for like his entire deployment, there was this Afghan guy that everybody called Rambo because he would put on a fucking red headband and like just sit on the machine gun. Like he insisted that he got to sit on the mounted machine gun on the fucking truck or whatever.
Yeah, so that he could be
And
the first guy to get
he's
shot
like,
in
I'm
the
not
head.
sure like if that guy thought Rambo was real or not. Because it looks so real to them. He's like, I think he might have thought it was like a documentary, not
Like
a
based on a
fictional
true
book.
story.
Yeah, like he thought it was like a real thing, and so he idolized Rambo for whatever reason. I just think it's funny, dude. Like I don't know, like I don't remember how that came up, but
I had a Jordanian friend. He fucking loved Naruto. Naruto has been translated into every goddamn language.
what is it? What is Jordanian Arabic?
Yeah, it's in Asia by like Egypt.
Yeah, but
like
do they
on the other
speak
side.
Arabic,
I think
or
it's Arabic.
do they have their own
But
language?
I honestly don't know. But it was just he fucking loved Naruto. And so what
Yeah.
I did is I asked him who the strongest Naruto character was, because I knew he was going to say Madara Uchiha.
Yeah.
But he's got to have
I
a
don't
lot.
e- I don't
He's
even
got to
know.
have a lot of qualified. The point is, there's a lot of different forms of Madara. So whenever you ask a Naruto nerd who the strongest character is, they're going to be like, well, it's Madara, but it's not just Madara. It's Rinne Tensei Madara with Hashirama cells.
Because he has
and-
different forms?
Yeah. It's like his. Because he dies and then he comes back.
Oh.
I could go on for a fucking hour about Madara Uchiha. He's great, but I'm not going to.
I don't know shit about Naruto, dude.
It's a
It's
cultural
almost like
thing.
right. It's almost like I need to read the Bible just to know the cultural references.
Exactly,
Like I need to
yes.
watch Naruto just like be able to interact with people under 30. You
Well,
know?
'cause it's fucking code. Like there's so many times I've been talking to someone and like we're playing a game of Magic and like we can't really. I'm like trying to explain something to them and they don't get it and I'm like, oh, it's like a Rock Lee and Gara near the end of the fight after the fourth gate is open. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes, I know what's going
I
on.
now completely understand
Yeah.
the board state. Like so, it's like that.
What do you think of my pre-DH deck, dude?
It's cool. It's I mean I think there are a million Commander subformats, so I'm probably not going to make one. But
Well,
it's
everyone
cool.
keeps thinking like, oh, you're gonna play this against other pre-EDH. And I'm like,
you're
no, I'm
play
just
it.
gonna play it in Commander.
That's the way to do it.
And
I
when
like
people
that.
are like, I'm playing like a upgraded precon or like lower power, I'm like, I'm playing my thing.
Okay,
And I think more people need to make pre-DH decks and embrace it because, I don't know, it's better.
I gotta tell you about the EDH meta at Cal State.
Yeah,
So
go for it.
a lot of Doctor Who decks, a lot of precons and stuff, and so much Doctor Who and Universes Beyond. Like I've just embraced it. But the funny thing is, there are these two characters who are both like I knew were my rivals or nemesis as it
Yeah.
started, and one of them has gone really great, the other's gone horribly. So one of them, big fucking guy, like my age, 26, like my height, like fucking heavy, so like 6'4", 260, big fucking man. And he is a Catholic, and he just curb stomps casuals. He plays these snowbally decks that if he gets his commander out, he's going to win or establish an effective win the next turn, and that's all he does.
Does he
And-
play Magic like a Catholic person would?
Yes, but from my perspective.
How
okay,
is that from your perspective though?
when
What
he-
is that?
When he's losing, bitch, moan, threaten, emotional
Really?
manipulation. I'm angry. If you attack me, if you interact with me, I'll scoop.
Like a true
losing,
Catholic.
fucking hitting the table.
Yes.
Winning, bragging to other people, offering to shake your hand, but only when he wins. Fucking because he will, whenever he wins, he will offer the handshake, which is weird. People don't handshake in EDH, but he will handshake.
Some people
everyone
do.
who
I've always
wins.
found that weird.
I'm
I'm-
fine with it if it's every game.
I'm a big like handshake person in general. Like at pickleball, you tap paddles or whatever. And I think
it's an honor
cordial. But I think in Magic, I'm like weirded out by it. I'm like,
it's good in 1v1. It is good in 1v1.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could see that, yeah.
We're fighting.
In a competitive, but like in
yes.
EDH, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I don't need a handshake for us to both mutually accept that this was like nothing personal and just a game.
Yes,
like,
because it's already.
If you don't already accept that, yeah, it's.
So he plays like a fucking Catholic, and the anger within him is some real goddamn Catholic anger. And it's funny because he's not a consistent Catholic because it's impossible. Like, I don't know, like I had my I got some furry stickers at the con, and I had some of them in a sleeve. And he saw this one with this very popular dog girl, Luna, a hellhound, and he looks at her and he says, "Oh, I would." And it's like, okay, first off, you're a fucking Catholic. That's a furry. Second, she's literally a hellhound, like from.
Maybe he's not that devoted.
No, well, it's pretty. She has a pentagram on her front, like it's obvious.
Yeah,
red
but
eyes.
Can't you be
that.
like a less devoted Catholic?
Well, no, but he's like, I'm very into traditional Latin Mass, and I talk to him about Thomas Aquinas. And if you're a fucking Catholic, you have to be a devoted Catholic because it's the communion. Like, it's a fucking thing.
The other thing though is like with Christianity, it's like you're allowed to do stuff like that. Because then you just go in on Sunday and you apologize.
That's
confess,
like totally.
I looked at a furry.
No, but
You know
that's
what I mean?
No, you're fucking not. That is violating the first commandment. You are you're like using God as a tool. It's Okay, so Martin Buber had this idea
That's
of
the whole
I-thou
thing,
relationship. No, but that is your relationship to God is like your relationship to a fork. That is the most perverse thing a religious person can do. Like Jesus is in your back pocket as a fucking tool you can use to get out of situations. That is the essence.
But then
of
they
Satan.
just go in and they confess. They're like, "Hey, sorry."
No, again, if you are actually religious, which I'm not, but that is satanic. The nature of Satan is the perversion of the good towards its own ends, because that is the essence of evil, is you take the good and you use it as an evil, because really all evils stem from a good that's being perverted. Like, that's actually true.
I'm not being mean to Christians, by the way. I
No,
don't care. I'm just saying some people do that, sometimes people do that, and God forgives and whatever. But
the other thing is that the hellhound has syphilis, so, you know, that just practically
But he doesn't know that.
I think he might have known. If he had seen episode 1, he would have known. Anyway, the point is, so this guy is a real piece of shit, and multiple times by interacting with him at instant speed and thwarting him, like, okay, he plays 37 mana worth of
Catholics
things
hate
on
when their
turn
plans
4.
are thwarted.
Yes, exactly, because they hatch these 2,000 new plans. He plays 37 mana worth of stuff on turn 4. So on turn 5, me and another player work together to take him out of the game. And he fucking flips his shit, like hits the table, concedes, leaves angrily, like, fuck you guys. And this other time, like, he puts a really good thing on the stack, so I kill him in response. And he just fucking was hitting the table, like, fuck both you guys, I hate you, leaving, like, really just acting like a fucking goober. And it's not great, because he's a good deck builder. You know, he just proxies up these very expensive
What commander
decks.
is he have?
He plays it's all proxies first off. Zoological, the Eldrazi one, the Cascade.
Yep.
Or like Rakdos the Muscle, where he's got Oppo, he's got Orcish Bowmasters, he's got all that, like, you know, Mana Crypt in all his decks. Fuck, it's Mr. House, but it's really just a bullshit, you know, deck. And like after the CDH bans, he was like, "Oh, can I play my pre-ban deck list?"
What do you guys
We're just
play
like,
at?
no, just the University Student Union.
That's awesome.
On campus. It's so good because
That's cool.
I do my work at the library, and then it's time for a break, go to the Union, play a game or two, back to the library,
Yeah.
fresh for work. It's really good. But okay, so this guy's a piece of shit, and he's working on himself, but it's still like we're playing against him, and I'm gonna destroy his
old is he?
artifacts. 26.
You're too old. Too
Yes.
old to be working on
Yes.
yourself.
Well, no, I think you should always be working on yourself.
Now, if you're having temper tantrums, it's too old. You should be, but if you're 26, can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's one of my rules.
I think people can change, but there's two things. It's fucking hard and like painful, and you have to want it. The person changing wants to. I
think people say that like, I'm working on it, but they really.
But I think most of the time people bullshit it, but you fucking can. I honestly think if you want it, if you're willing to put through the pain and you fucking put in the work.
But he clearly
I
doesn't,
think you
otherwise
can.
he wouldn't be slamming the table still.
Well, yeah. You're
That's
right,
why I'm
you're
calling
fucking right.
bullshit.
I don't think
I'm
this guy. Fair.
26, man.
Well, the improvement I've noticed is because he hates making an ass of himself because he knows he looks like a child. So now he just, instead of hitting the table, he just concedes and leaves so that he can fucking yell into a pillow or something. But okay, I gotta tell you about the other rival, though,
Yeah.
This guy, it's gone the other way. So this guy, complete fucking conniving, like, you know, will lie like crazy. This place has a house rule of you can shake hands. If you shake hands on a deal and you break the deal, you concede automatically, which is fucking funny. But so he lies like crazy. And he tries to emotionally manipulate people like crazy. When he's winning, he's happy or neutral. When he's losing, he just goes into, I am not having fun right now.
Me!
You guys are
It's literally me!
I fucking hate this. And then he constantly threatens to concede. He's like, if you attack me right now, I will concede.
I'm like, I drove out here, and you
guys.
guys are doing this shit. I could be doing other stuff with my time.
So he's like that. He's just doing that
Yeah.
constantly, and it fucking sucks to play against. But here's the thing. After the first game that he did that, I was just like, you know, I like playing against you, but I fucking don't like the toxic shit. You're being a real piece of shit with this. And I like went on for like a minute about like why it's bullshit to try to hold people hostage with your own bad emotions.
Yeah.
And like the second time he played, he tried the same thing, and I'm like, I don't care, I'm countering your soul ring. But here's the fucking thing. He just stopped. Because the secret of this guy, he's just trying to win. And he's just going to do anything to win. And he knows that these people in this community are weak and that they will fall for the emotional tricks. And so he's going to use them because he wants to win. But then once he saw me, after like 2 games, we had like this moment of telepathy where we both understood that we're both just trying to win and neither of us are going to fall for the other people's bullshit. He just stopped trying it against me. And he still uses it on other people and they fucking hate it.
I use it on people it works for.
That it works on. But so yeah, so he just stopped. And now he's like one of my favorite opponents to play against because I know he's trying his best to win and he's got good decks. So those are the 2 rivals that have gone in different directions. But there's the fucking Doctor Who deck, and people just, they hate that I interact with them. They hate getting interacted
So I know
with.
I told you that on Discord. I'm like, you need to just have something that just runs over everybody in like a turn.
It's like, so I should play Proshman. Like that. But then, no,
Nah.
that's lame. But like,
Same
that is
like
the actual...
same like game plan, but yeah.
slower. But that's just fucking boring, because why didn't I just like goldfish in my room? Like, I think of like a bunch of people in different cells and they all play EDH against themselves, and then they all go into the common room and say, oh, I won on turn 4.
Because
oh,
I
won
think
on
it's a
turn
good
3.
strategy to win.
Yeah, but it's not fun. If I just want to win, I'll just play fucking combo. Like, I like the interacting, I like the attacking. I'm gonna keep doing that.
Like, if you're consistently underestimated, where you're just putting down pieces and not interacting, and maybe you do a board wipe, drag the game out, and then you're like, now I win.
Well, they know I'm a fucking threat.
Oh.
But they're emotionally weak. They'll like get me down to
They're
low
emotionally
health.
weak.
No, it is. They'll get me down to low health and be like, well, I don't want to be mean.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing the Palpatine like, I can save Padme's
Yeah.
life. Don't need me.
I can save you.
Yeah, like you, Anakin, if we work together.
Yes.
So it's just all that shit. Didn't you have to leave at 2:30?
I gotta go, dude.
All right, yeah.
I gotta go. I want to keep going, but
I mean, I got errands.
I'll
to run
stop
and
it
a
here.
fucking paper to write. Do all right. Tremendous.
See you guys. Thank you.
Peace.